welcome to MandoBug Crafts, episode 37. Hi everybody, I'm Amanda, also known as MandoBug. You can pretty much find me everywhere on the web as MandoBug if I exist where you are looking for me. Generally, I'm on Ravelry and YouTube because that's where I put my videos, and I've started playing around on Instagram. I made a Facebook for the podcast, but I don't really do much but post episodes there, which YouTube will tell you if you've subscribed, so it's kind of pointless. But thank you, Chester. Kitty, he's doing BS to be safe about it. Anyways, thank you, new viewers who are checking me out for the first time. This is Chester Kitty. Come here. Why don't you say hi, Chester Kitty? Hi, Chester Kitty. Chester Kitty. Yeah, so thanks for checking me out, and welcome back, returning viewers. Don't bite me. He likes to bite faces. I know. We ended up naming him Chester because of this exactly. He gives you hugs, and he just wants to be on your chest, but he will bite you. Okay, so, starting this sorry kitty. Starting the show out with something I've learned. So, this week I learned how to do binding. I think I have a cat hair on my mouth. Binding. So, I don't mean binding off, I mean binding a quilt. Yes, I finished a quilt. This is my very first finished quilt ever, and I'm so happy with it, even though it has so many mistakes. So, I've showed a little bit of the quilt before in an older episode, and it's too big to show you, so I kind of just made a video to quickly overview all the free motion quilting I did on the top. That was all done using or following a Craftsy class called Free Motion Fillers Volume 1 with Leah Day, and I absolutely recommend it. I had never done free motion quilting before, and she took me from zero to the end of this quilt. So here's a little video of my quilt. So, I'm really happy with the way that everything turned out, even though there is some problems with the back, which I'll show you. So, I learned how to do the binding. I just bound the whole quilt with this black fabric. And I had never done that before, and that wasn't a part of the class. So, Craftsy is having a big summer sale where all of their classes are 50% off, or maybe most of them. So I went ahead and bought Finishing School Borders and Bindings. I think that's what it's called. Let me check. Edges and Bindings with Mimi Dietrich. And I haven't made it very far through that one. So far I've watched how to do a quick binding by using the back of your quilt. And then the next part was the binding that I actually did on this quilt, where she shows you how to make your own fabric for the binding, and then do a double folded binding. So it's sewn down one way and then folded and then folded, and then they recommend that you hand stitch on the back for a pretty seamless stitch so it doesn't go through the front, but I was like, no, not gonna do that. So I just ran it through the machine so you can see the stitching. It goes through to the top as well, but that's okay, because this quilt, let's see if I can find it right here. I briefly mentioned this last time, but I didn't show it last time I talked about the quilt. Can you tell how messed up this fabric is right here? So what happened is, as I was quilting it, you quilt from the inside to the outside. to let the fabric kind of move out. Even though you basted it as well as you thought, it still kind of moves as you quilt. So it's better to quilt from the inside to the outside. And as I was getting to the outside, I had taken too many of my basting pins out, and somehow moving around through my tiny little machine, this corner had folded down and I had quilted on top of it, folded. So what I had to do was I cut it and then I re-sewed another piece to it, and then I finished it. And so this is like folded over the top of the original, and I just didn't cut it all out. But I need to, eventually I'll probably go around to doing it, but really it's not that bad. I chose such a busy fabric for the back because that's what was recommended in the class, so you don't see all this crazy stitching back here. It just looks crazy already. So I may just leave it. I've already sent this through the washing machine just to kind of like wash the starch out and get it softer, and also to see how well it would hold up. But I'm really happy. Something else I learned working on this quilt was that if I'm going to continue to free motion quilt, I cannot use the sewing machine that I have now. I mean, I can, I just can't expect. It's just hard, really, is what it comes down to. It's very difficult. I have a little video I shot of me finishing up the border on my machine. I'll go ahead and insert that here. So you can see that I don't really have a lot of room to move my hands around, because there's like this much room between where my needle comes and like where my machine begins. And especially when you're in the center of the quilt, it's all bunched up in there and it's really hard to maneuver. I have the Simple Singer sewing machine. It's one of their cheapest brands, models, and it's great for sewing a project bag, you know, hemming seams, whatever, but it is not good for free motion quilting. So if I'm going to continue to do this on a domestic machine, I think I need to upgrade. There's some pretty sweet machines out there that extend out, and that's what I would do better with. It's not necessary, but it would definitely be a little bit easier. So moving on to my works in progress. I made a little bit more progress on my corner to corner crochet baby blanket. So I was just past this stripe, I think, when I showed you guys. I like 2 more rows of green, and then I'm going to start another one of those repeating stripes. So it's coming along nicely. Just a nice little project to take with me that you don't really have to think about. It's very simple, like granny square. I'm using Hobby Lobby's I Love This yarn in various colors that are linked on my project page on Ravelry, and an H-hook. I am also making progress on the embroidered nursery book. So this is, I showed you guys last week, the bunny. I've also worked on the duck who's done, and I finished the turtle. And next is the horse. You can see my needle there. I will start him later. But I'm very happy. I think these are turning out cute. I haven't stitched the names yet because they're going to be in the same color that these are actually sewn to the book with. And I haven't decided on those colors yet because this came in a kit, but the kit didn't come with floss. It tells you the required floss. And I didn't feel like going out and buying a whole bunch more because I inherited a bunch from my great-grandma, And so I have a bunch of colors. I've just kind of been, some of them I actually have, some of them I've kind of been, well, this is close enough. So I'm just going to kind of wait until I'm ready to stitch the specific animal into the book, and then I'm going to stitch the title. But I'm having fun with this. So moving on to finished objects and Chester Kitty. I finished spinning this fiber. So this was fiber that I got with my From Rolags to Riches class that I took at the Alabama Festival of Fiber Arts. I think that's what it's called. It had a really long name. Chester, get out of the window. So I had made a whole bunch of Rolags and blended some fiber on hackles with this. So it's really just kind of a mix of a bunch of different colors and fiber preparations. So I'm fairly happy with it. It's about 2.3 ounces, and I got about 83 yards, so it's like a really heavy worsted Aran weight. I'm sorry if that noise is annoying. Chester is in the blinds in the window, which is right by my camera, so it might be loud. And then I also finished a project bag. So I went to Joann's because I needed to get some of these clips that are really great for holding down the binding as you're sewing it. And they were expensive. Good thing they were on sale. But while I was there was a bunch of stuff on sale, of course. So I was browsing around and I found this fabric and I was like, ooh, I must have. I got a yard. And I don't know what I'm going to do with all of it, but it's beautiful. I took about a quarter of the yard and made this guy. So this is the open wide zippered pouch by Noodlehead, and it's got these lovely little Chester. Come on, kitty. It's got these lovely little fabric birds on it. Thought it was super cute, and I picked out like this orange zipper to go with it, and then I just did a peach interior. So this is only the second time that I've made this bag, and the first one I made I gave away. So I'm excited to have one for myself. Sorry, Chester. Tisk, tisk, kitty. He's usually pretty good, but every once in a while he just has to bother me while I'm recording. So yeah, I'm really happy with this bag. I just used some light fusible interfacing on it, so it has shape but not a whole bunch, and of course it's got the boxed bottom. So moving on to check it out. So for check it out this week, I wanted to mention a cross stitch company. I'm fairly new to Instagram, and I've been posting pictures here and there and looking at all the hashtags, and I ran across Cloud's Factory, which is a cross-stitch company that makes designs, and they have some super cute stuff. And the one thing I kept seeing on Instagram is their 2014 Mystical Creatures calendar. Excuse me. Yes, magical creatures calendar. I don't want to mess that up. And they have a whole bunch of other patterns too that are really cute. They have a whole bunch of for lack of a better way to describe it, pop culture-y designs. Like, they make like miniature cross-stitch people of really popular TV shows like Game of Thrones. One I really like is they have a collection called Disney Princess Villains, and that one's really cute. They have Doctor Who villains, and they're like the Justice League. They have a whole bunch of like little miniature cross-stitch guys that are really cute, as well as a couple different other things. So if you like cross-stitch and you're looking for new designs and you haven't heard of them, go check them out. Cloud's Factory. So moving on to current events. So I've been participating in the 2014 Sampler Mystery Knit-Along. And I don't always share because clues only come out every 2 weeks. But I've started catching up. Where are my squares? Oh, Chester knocked them down, of course. So if you're participating and you don't want to see, look away, even though I am still 2 squares behind the current clue. So I'm using, here it is, Blue Sky Alpacas, worsted cotton, and this is colorway 601. Eat Sleep Knit calls it Poppy. And so here's one of my squares. I leave a tail on them to sew them together, so it should be at the top. So far we've been doing some nice textural knit purl patterns. Here's another square. This one was pretty cool. It's like a moss stitch in between some squares. And then the most recent one I've done, we've moved into slip stitch patterns. So this one. And this one has some personality. Because like right here, I did it right. But up here, like halfway through one of the rows, I had the yarn in the wrong spot. I had it in the back instead of the front, so it didn't look quite right. But this one can be special. So I still have 2 more squares to do in orange before I'm caught up to the most recent clue. And then I went ahead and ordered the yarn for my next row, which is going to be in yellow. So this is 638. I don't know what Eat Sleep Knit calls this one. I don't remember. Dandelion maybe? I don't know. That could be wrong. Whoa, did you see that color change? That was weird. No, I'm blue. No, I'm not blue. Yellow. That was weird. So that's coming along nicely. And also for current events, we are doing our Mindful Spin Along. You can check out the details in the MandoBug Crafts Ravelry group. And I have been spinning my bat. Well, bats. One of them's untouched, one of them is done. This is BFL Merino Silk, Sari Silk, and Angelina. This is Wood Spinner Fibers by Brenda in the Bollywood colorway, and it could not be more appropriately named. I finished spinning the first bat. I'm shooting for a worsted weight so that I can knit this into a baby cardigan. The little coffee bean cardigan to be exact, I think. It's very hard to spin a consistent single for worsted weight for me. I really hope this ends up the weight that I think it will. We'll see. I've decided to wait to ply it until I finish spinning this one. I'm going to chain ply them just so that I have like a measure of reference. I've been using my hip strings, what would you call it, like a wraps per inch tool, like a control card, but that only, I mean, it works well when you shoot for a weight, but it's better to gauge off of your own spinning. So I'm not going to ply it up yet. But I think it's coming along nicely, and I'm going to finish this really quickly in my spin along, so I'm probably going to start up some more spinning projects as well. I made these rolags. Wasn't going to show you, but they're up here. When I dyed my self-striping yarn for my Mystic Spiral socks, I had some fiber that I dipped in to exhaust the dye baths, and I made them into rolags. This is like a pink and black mix. It's probably just an ounce, these 4. And same with these. I kind of made like some stripy rolags. Whoa. These are really hard to show on camera. Maybe if I show you back here it'll look better. Because they're like really pale variations of gray. There's like a green gray and a blue gray and another like a darker blue gray. When I get up close, the camera I think is trying to white balance on the rolags. I mean, you got a good idea. So maybe I will find a project to be mindful of how to spin these. I don't think they'd go well together, but maybe I can find something for them. I still have a whole box of rolags that need to be spun as well, so time to think and be mindful. That's the point of the spin along, right? So moving on to upcoming events. The Mysterious Halloween Town Club is starting on June 19th. This is a cross stitch mystery stitch along by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. That was a lot of stitches. Excuse me. And I mention this because I ordered some special supplies to do this cross stitch. I've already purchased the pattern, and there's an option to use some special dyed floss instead of DMC. There's an option for both. I went ahead and got the special dyed floss. So this is Weeks Dye Works. Oh! And loaded. It's really pretty, like green and yellow. And then the other ones are from the Gentle Art. This one is like a interesting variation of black and brown. And then this one's Lavender Potpourri. Very pretty purple variation of purple. And then Bubblegum, also by Gentle Art. Very pretty. So they're a very slight variegated thread, and I'm really interested to see how these stitch up in the pattern. And then I also bought the recommended fabric for this stitch along. And this came from Picture This Plus. It's Colorscapes hand-dyed fabric in the Crystal Wren Cashel 28 count linen. So can you pick up the sparkle? And the mottled brown. I'm really excited to see how this stitches up. I went ahead and bought the fabric that they recommended because I've had problems in the past with the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery design showing up on the fabric that I pick, because they tend to have a lot of white in their designs, and you can't stitch white on white and expect it to show up. And even the colors I had picked out in the past were like even though they were off-white, they still weren't contrasting enough from the design to really stand out the way that I wanted them to. So I'm just going with their recommended fabric. That way I know it will look the way that it's intended to. Plus, I haven't tried linen before. It is a little bit different when you stitch on linen, and I'm excited to try it out. Hoping it doesn't hurt my eyes too much and it isn't that hard to count. So, excuse me. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, that's my show for you guys this week. So I hope you guys made something awesome or made a little bit of progress on whatever you're working on during the show. And I will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye!